For 4 years, Rory McIlroy has been the face of the PGA Tour's resistance to LIV Golf. He has criticized the defectors. He has defended the tour. He has called the Saudi-backed league illegitimate and a threat to the game. He was supposed to be the last person to ever suggest that LIV stars could return to the PGA Tour. But something has changed. In a stunning interview that has sent shockwaves through the golf world, McIlroy hinted that the door may be open for LIV players to come back, not just any players. The biggest names. The ones who left for hundreds of millions of dollars. The ones who burned bridges. McIlroy's words have left fans stunned. The golf world has exploded. What did Rory say? Why did he change his mind? And could we really see LIV stars back on the PGA Tour soon? For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The interview was supposed to be routine. Rory McIlroy sat down with a veteran golf journalist to discuss his season. He talked about his swing. He talked about his putting. He talked about the upcoming majors. The questions were soft. The answers were measured. Everything was going according to plan. And then the journalist asked the question that changed everything. Rory, the golf world has been talking about a possible reunification. LIV's future is uncertain. Do you think the players who left should be allowed to come back to the PGA Tour? McIlroy paused. He took a sip of water. He looked down at his hands. And then he spoke words that no one expected. I think reconciliation is possible, he said. I think the golf world is tired of the fighting. The fans are tired. The players are tired. The sponsors are tired. Everyone is tired. At some point, we have to figure out a way to bring the best players back together. The game is better when we are all competing against each other. The journalist leaned forward. Are you saying that you would welcome LIV players back to the PGA Tour? McIlroy nodded. I would. But there have to be consequences. You cannot just walk away and then walk back like nothing happened. There has to be a process. There has to be accountability. But if players are willing to go through that process, I think the tour should be open to it. The interview continued for another 20 minutes. McIlroy talked about his game, his family, his hopes for the future. But the damage was done. The clip of his comments about LIV players returning went viral within minutes. The golf world exploded. How could Rory McIlroy, the most vocal critic of LIV Golf, suddenly be open to reconciliation? The reaction was immediate and intense. PGA Tour loyalists were shocked. They remembered McIlroy's harsh words about the defectors. They remembered him calling them sellouts and traitors. They did not understand how he could change his mind so quickly. LIV Golf fans were equally surprised. They had seen McIlroy as the enemy. Now he was speaking with compassion. The media went into overdrive. Every golf outlet analyzed his words. Every podcast discussed his motives. Every television show booked guests to speculate. The consensus was that McIlroy was reading the room. LIV Golf is on shaky ground. The Saudi funding may dry up. The players may need a path back. McIlroy is preparing for that possibility. McIlroy himself added to the speculation with a follow-up comment. I don't want to see anyone's career end because of a mistake, he said. These are human beings. They made a choice. Some of them regret it. If they want to come back and earn their way, I think we should give them that chance. The words were compassionate. They were also strategic. McIlroy is positioning himself as a leader, a unifier, a statesman. To understand why Rory McIlroy has changed his stance on LIV players returning, we need to understand the changing landscape of professional golf. The war is not over, but the battle lines are shifting. The PGA Tour is no longer fighting. For survival, it has won. LIV Golf is on the ropes. The Saudi funding is uncertain. The players are nervous. The league is cutting back. McIlroy sees the writing on the wall. He knows that the LIV experiment is failing. He knows that the players who left may soon be looking for a way back. He wants to be part of the solution. He wants to help shape the reunification process. He wants to be seen as a leader, not a gatekeeper. The PGA Tour has also softened its stance. Officials have realized that keeping LIV players out forever is not practical. The tour needs stars. The fans want to see the best players compete against each other. The sponsors want the drama. The networks want the ratings. The tour is preparing for a return. The legal landscape has also shifted. The lawsuits between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf have been settled. The animosity has cooled. The two sides are no longer at war. That makes it easier for players to consider a return. They are less likely to be caught in the middle of a legal battle. McIlroy's personal journey has also evolved. He has seen friends struggle. He has seen careers stall. He has seen the human cost of the golf war. He no longer sees the LIV players as enemies. He sees them as colleagues who made a different choice. He does not agree with their choice, but he understands it. The timing of McIlroy's comments is also significant. The PGA Tour is negotiating its next television contract. The networks want certainty. They want to know that the best players will be competing against each other. The return of LIV stars would increase the value of the contract. McIlroy is helping to pave the way. McIlroy's comments have also been praised by other players. Scotty Scheffler said, "Rory is a leader. He thinks about the big picture. I respect his opinion." John Rahm, who is still with LIV, said, "I have always respected Rory. His comments show class." The reactions have been overwhelmingly positive, but not everyone is happy. Some PGA Tour loyalists feel betrayed. They stayed loyal while others took the money. They do not want the defectors to return without consequences. They want suspensions. They want fines. They want apologies. McIlroy acknowledged that. "There has to be accountability," he said. "You cannot just walk back in. The golf world is now watching to see what happens next." McIlroy has opened the door. The PGA Tour is listening. LIV players are waiting. The reunification process may be closer than anyone thought. The reaction to Rory McIlroy's comments has been swift and intense. The golf world is divided. Fans, players, and pundits have all weighed in. The debate about whether LIV stars should be allowed to return has been reignited. Everyone has an opinion, and no one agrees. Let us start with the fans. A poll conducted by Golfix asked, "Should LIV Golf players be allowed to return to the PGA Tour?" The results were surprisingly close. 53% said yes, 41% said no, 6% were unsure. The yes voters argued that the sport needs its best players together. The no voters argued that the defectors made their choice and should live with the consequences. The players have been more divided. Some have publicly supported McIlroy. "Rory is right," one player said. "The game is better when everyone is playing together. We need to find a way." Others have been critical. "I stayed loyal," another player said. "I turned down millions. Now they want to come back like nothing happened?" That's not fair. The media has been in overdrive. Every golf outlet has published a story. Every podcast has dedicated an episode. Every television show has booked guests. The consensus is that McIlroy's comments are a turning point. The ice is melting. The door is opening. The reunification process has begun. The most interesting reaction came from Tiger Woods. Woods was asked about McIlroy's comments during a brief appearance. "Rory is allowed to have his opinion," Woods said. "I have my own. The tour has rules. Those rules apply to everyone. If the rules are followed, I have no problem with anyone coming back." Woods did not endorse McIlroy's comments, but he did not reject them either. The LIV players have also reacted. Phil Mickelson posted a cryptic message on social media. "Interesting times." Bryson DeChambeau said, "I have always respected Rory. He is a great champion." Brooks Koepka declined to comment. The reactions were guarded. No one wanted to say too much. The PGA Tour has not commented officially, but sources say that officials are encouraged by McIlroy's comments. The tour has been preparing for a possible return of LIV players. It wants the process to be orderly. It wants the terms to be clear. It wants the outcome to be positive. Tatum. Sponsors are also watching. They want the best players on the PGA Tour. They want the drama. They want the excitement. The return of LIV stars would be good for business. Sponsors would pay more for television ads. They would pay more for tournament sponsorships. They would benefit from the increased attention. The golf world is on edge. Rory McIlroy has hinted that LIV stars could return to the PGA Tour. The speculation is endless. The debate is heated. But one thing is certain. The conversation has changed. The door is no longer closed. The possibility of reunification is real. What would the return of LIV stars to the PGA Tour actually look like? McIlroy hinted at a process. He mentioned consequences and accountability. Second, the players would have to repay a portion of their LIV signing bonuses. The money would go to charity. The amount would be negotiated individually. Players who signed larger bonuses would pay more. Players who signed smaller bonuses would pay less. The tour would be flexible, but it would not be weak. Third, the players would have to issue a public apology. They would have to express regret for their decisions. They would have to acknowledge that they made mistakes. They would have to promise to be better ambassadors for the game. The apologies would be carefully scripted. The tour would approve them before they were released. Fourth, the players would have to earn their way back into the tour's good graces. They would have to play well. They would have to behave well. They would have to rebuild relationships. Trust would not be given. It would have to be earned. Fifth, the tour would have to manage the reaction of the players who stayed. Those players feel betrayed. They feel angry. They feel that the defectors are being treated too leniently. The tour would have to find ways to make them feel valued. Increased prize money, more input on decisions, special recognition. McIlroy's comments suggest that he supports this type of process. He does not want the LIV players to simply walk back in. He wants them to earn their way. He wants consequences. He wants accountability. He wants the players who stayed to feel that justice has been served. The LIV players will have to decide if the price is worth paying. Some may decide that it is. They miss the PGA Tour. They miss the competition. They miss the fans. They are willing to serve suspensions. They are willing to apologize. They are willing to give up money. Others may decide that it is not. They may retire. They may stay with LIV. They may start something new. The PGA Tour is ready. Officials have been preparing for this moment. They have a plan. They have a timeline. They have a message. The tour wants to be seen as the victor, but it also wants to be seen as gracious. It will not humiliate the returning players. It will not gloat. It will simply open the door. So what happens next? Rory McIlroy has hinted that LIV stars could return to the PGA Tour. The golf world has exploded. The speculation is endless. But the future is still uncertain. Let us examine 3 possible outcomes. Outcome 1. Several LIV stars return. Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, and Jon Rahm announced that they are coming back to the PGA Tour. They serve their suspensions. They repay their bonuses. They issue their apologies. The golf world celebrates. The war is over. The sport is united. This is the best-case scenario. It is also the most likely outcome. 2. Only a few return. Some players decide to stay with LIV Golf. They hope that the league will survive. They hope that the Saudi money will continue. They are not ready to admit defeat. The golf world remains divided. The war continues. This is a possible scenario. It is also the saddest outcome. 3. No one returns. The players all stay with LIV. The Saudis continue funding the league. The 2 tours remain separate. The golf world remains divided. The fans remain frustrated. This is the worst-case scenario. It is also the least likely. The forces pushing for reunification are too strong. Which outcome will occur? According to sources close to the negotiations, outcome 1 is the current frontrunner. The players want to come back, a source told Golfix. They miss the PGA Tour. They miss the competition. They miss the fans. The money is great, but money is not everything. They are ready to come home. The PGA Tour is ready to welcome them. Officials have been preparing for this moment. They have a plan. They have a timeline. They have a message. The tour wants to be seen as the victor, but it also wants to be seen as gracious. It will not humiliate the returning players. It will not gloat. It will simply open the door. Rory McIlroy has changed the conversation. His comments have opened the door. The golf world is watching. The LIV players are waiting. The PGA Tour is preparing. The reunification process may be closer than anyone thought. The golf world has exploded. Rory McIlroy hinted that LIV stars could return to the PGA Tour. The drama is just beginning. The next few months will be crucial. The decisions made will determine the future of professional golf. McIlroy said it best. The game is better when we are all competing against each other. That is the goal. That is the hope. That is the future. The war may finally be ending. The sport may finally be healing. The fans may finally get what they want. The best players in the world competing against each other. Stay tuned. This story is far from over. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.